What's going on, everybody? I'm back with another video. This video is going to be looking at how Leicester beat Manchester United in the English Premier League, won the title for City, and increased their odds drastically to get into the top four and cement a Champions League spot. Before we start, I just want to say my book is out on Amazon. The link is in the description below, as well as a link to Keyframe, which is how I made this video, so be sure to check those two things out. And let's get right into it. Manchester United, when they were in possession of the ball, they had Matic playing, and many times he would drop between the two central defenders, creating a back three in the build-up phase, at which point they would have 3 versus 2 in their first line against the Leicester 4-4-2 at the start of the game, and the 4 Leicester midfielders often staggered themselves but played more of a man-oriented zone, trying to null the impact of the advanced players and the single pivot of Van de Beek, as well as Matic and Mason Greenwood between the lines. Moving forward with Leicester in possession, they also created a 3-man build-up in the first line, whether that be with Castagna or Tielemans dropping in the half space, but the 3-man build-up was matched by the 4-2-4 or 4-2-2-2 of Manchester United, with the main difference of this Manchester United team was the positioning and orientation of the wide players. So oftentimes the wide players, especially in higher areas, would jump into the first line of pressure, as we see here, with the 2 forwards, one responsible for pressing the first line, the most central defender, and the other responsible for covering Ndidi, who is oftentimes a single pivot, but Tielemans would drop deeper at times, in which case the 2 forwards would cover both the 2 holding midfielders of Leicester with their cover shadows. So this high positioning of Manchester United gave Leicester an advantage in the wide areas, because often they built with a 3-5-2, as we see here. So this wide relationship within the Leicester team gave them a big advantage going forward. And the Leicester build-up shape, the 3-5-2, saw the 3 midfielders playing with 2 advanced players in the half space, complemented the 2 forwards of Vardy and Iheanacho. Vardy and Iheanacho would pin the Manchester United back 4, creating more space between the lines for Tielemans and Iosi Perez. Now for an example of Tielemans dropping as the 3rd central defender. Tielemans here just drops deeper in the half space, which frees Castagna to go into the wide area to have dual width, create a little more freedom in their movement, to then occupy this half space in the advanced area with either Iheanacho coming inside or the wide player drifting in and Castagna then holding the width. Now for Leicester City's defensive shape and Manchester United's offensive organization. So here we see their 4-2-3-1 from Leicester City, out of possession of the ball, which gave their 2 forwards dual roles when looking at the Manchester United double pivot. So Iheanacho or Vardy, one would take the cover shadow and use their cover shadow to block off access to one of the holding midfielders, while the other would use more man orientation. And these 3 players in the offensive midfield line would have the compactness to then split the difference between the double pivot and give them good control, as well as these wide players had the responsibility to go and press the central defenders from out to in and use their cover shadows to block the wide area. Then we see players like Juan Mata or Mason Greenwood dropping between the lines to give them offensive options in advanced areas. But when we moved deeper, we saw the Leicester City 4-4-2 quite clearly in the defensive phases, and when Cavani came onto the field, they had a more natural number 9, but this didn't change much in terms of how they played until Bruno Fernandes came on. The wide players still varied their positioning, and oftentimes they vacated this advanced area that's quite valuable, and they lacked inverted runs to stretch the Leicester defense in behind to then create more dangerous space. Now for the last picture, when they went up 2-1, they secured themselves defensively through a 5-4-1 and absorbed some pressure late in the game by subbing off Vardy and having Iheanacho play as a lone forward, but the 4-5-1 allowed them to have more defenders jumping between the lines, limiting their vertical compactness and the Manchester United options between the lines, were pretty ineffective when they played in this area because of the high level of compactness from Leicester City, but they didn't have as much pressure on the ball, which led to more pressure in Leicester City's final third, or their defensive third. So that's the analysis, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.